Dr. Lena Hart clicks the door closed. Maya Ellis stays rooted in the doorway, fingers still curled around air. The smart kettle shudders awake, orange letters spelling habits detected. Continue? Steam curls without a touch. Maya steps forward, and the kettle drops silent, its light guttering out like someone pulling a curtain. The apartment inhales, waiting, and the sudden hush feels wrong, too loud. Yet the glowing question hangs in the quiet. Maya Ellis steps around the bright question on the kettle and reaches for the metal mug they used on cold mornings. She wipes its rim, a long smear of coffee gone cold, and stacks it with the others as if each dish can prove she is doing the dishes alone. The kettle's bronze coil finally cools. She taps habits detected twice so the light will stay off. A small rebellion that still feels like asking permission. She moves to the counter, sliding the smart speaker aside to make room for her laptop. The calendar tiled Dr. Lena Hart sent the night before waits. Breathe in. Write 3 wins. Maya types finished report, even though the report was for last week, just to leave something checked. The screen blurs with the afterimage of Sam's handwriting before she gently wipes it away with the edge of her sleeve. Later, she takes the recycling down, humming under her breath, and pauses by the hallway mirror. Her reflection is exchanging texted jokes with a friend. Yet she watches her shoulders drop in the mirror as the hallway light flickers. She straightens, inhales, and carries the bags out, closing the door behind her with the same careful motion as Lena's, a practiced assertion that she can still make a quiet, clean exit. Maya lowered the lukewarm coffee mug onto the side table so carefully the remaining steam shivered, and as the phone beside it blinked a cold notification, she snapped the journal cover shut, fingertips lingering against the edge. The journal on the coffee table lies open, the last page's shaky handwriting spelling out, "I said I'd move on," in ink, blurred by a tear or rain. Maya Ellis's hand clamps around the arm of the couch, knuckles whitening as she draws in a sharp breath. Maya's fingers tremble as she snatches the phone from the coffee table, thumb stabbing at the screen. She drags it upward, forcing the thread into view, shoulders sagging as her gaze follows each new accusation. "You disappeared when I needed you. It's why this ended. You always sacrificed your needs to keep things smooth." "I wasn't vanishing. I just needed room to breathe." Maya Ellis's hand clutches her sternum, fingers digging in as her shoulders hunch and her gaze drifts to the rain-streaked window. Maya Ellis's trembling thumb rests on his name in the call log, then jerks back as she squeezes the phone so hard her knuckles whiten, her other hand clamping the screen like a lifeline. Through Maya's eyes, the journal beside her glares with the half-written line, "Being alone equals failure." The smudged words, a mirror of the pressure she refuses to admit. Maya Ellis's shoulders droop as she presses a trembling hand to her chest. Her gaze drops to the journal, breath hitching in a shallow gasp. Maya Ellis yanks the phone toward her, knuckles white, thumb skittering across the glass as buttons blur into a frantic rhythm. She jerks her wrist and stabs the send icon, the phone jolting in her palm before her fingers can withdraw. The glowing phone screen shows the sent message time-stamped 12:07 a.m. The chat thread reopened at the top of the screen, while the cold coffee mug waits on the table like an unspoken witness. Maya's shoulders sag as she stares at the empty couch, fingers curling into the fabric of her sleeve, eyes wide and unblinking at the glowing screen. Her breath catches, the silence pressing harder. Through Maya's eyes, the pamphlet titled Solitude as Self-Compassion glows on the low table while the nearby smartphone buzzes with a message from her best friend, threatening to pull her back into the old pattern. "Dr. Lena, what boundary did you try last night when the past started whispering?" Maya. "I kept the pamphlet on the table, flipped through my lists instead of my phone, and let the urge to text him fade down to a tremor. Maya's hand slides along the couch cushion to fumble for her smartphone, fingers closing around its cool edge as it buzzes. Dr. Lena, tell me exactly what she said when you read it aloud. Say it out loud for me. Maya, she said a rebound date will fix my loneliness and that I'm unfinished without a partner. Maya flips open her worn journal listing solo routines and pins her pen above the entry labeled phone text triggers, then drives the nib across the margin with quick, deliberate strokes to scrawl today's emotions. Maya eases onto the meditation cushion, fingers tracing the pressed-in seams before jerking toward the worn journal beside her, eyes locking on the flickering candle as her breath stills. I thought this retreat would just calm my nerves, not have me staring at pages I've tried to forget. That entry about the art classes you skipped. It's why we're sitting here. Because Solitude keeps asking for what you gave away. Maya Ellis's hands froze on her knees, eyes widening as the mention of art classes landed heavier than the breathwork she expected. Her shoulders lifted in a tremor, mouth parting while her gaze darted toward the window, as if searching for a way to step away from the sudden pull. Dr. Lena Hart lifted the digital recorder from the low altar, its red eye blinking beside the flickering candle, and eased it across the meditation cushion toward Maya's outstretched palm. She rested her other hand briefly on the pressed-in seams of the cushion, as if anchoring the moment before stepping back. Maya's shoulders tensed as her hand flew to her throat, breath hitching in sharp stutters while her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Am I just afraid of being lonely? That recorder carries the grief of the creative voice you buried to keep him calm, not simple loneliness. Maya smoothed pages of the worn journal shut, sliding it beside the flickering candle before resting both palms on the meditation cushion and taking a long, steadying breath. When I stay alone, at least the grief is mine to sit with instead of drowning in someone else's noise. And holding that ache, listening to it, is how you learn to turn toward yourself instead of running away. Maya's shoulders lower, a fragile calm settling as she keeps her gaze fixed forward. She twists the spine of the photo album between her palms, fingers brushing the worn edge as the light softens. Her hands jerk, the album slipping a fraction, when Lena's words drop the unexpected proposition. So we're just talking through the routines I already run alone? I don't think you're just running routines, Maya. You're still reaching for some kind of tether. And I keep wondering if living together again is the tether that will keep you grounded instead of disappearing. Maya Ellis's shoulders hunch as her fingers curl into her palms, eyes darting to the window before she forces her breath steady. From Maya Ellis's view, the text message screenshot printout on the coffee table shows the last bubble, time-stamped 3:14 p.m. Texting. Pick one. Can't keep splitting myself. I need to know if you're choosing the job or staying for us. Its edges ragged from being folded. I promised myself I'd stop running back to people and finally do the work alone. Which is why I know exactly how fast alone turns into being cut off. Living together would keep you plugged in even when you need silence. Maya's fingers curl tighter around the edge of the album, her shoulders rising in a rigid, silent inhale, as if bracing against a forced choice. Dr. Lena Hart nudged the photo album aside with her wrist, then leaned forward to push the text message screenshot printout across the coffee table, her fingertips lingering on the corner as if she could steady the weight of the unspoken plea. I can keep doing this. Being alone is the only way I'm not collapsing under everyone else's expectations. Then understand that choosing solitude now voids those professional and social invitations. Maya. And it will make you vanish again. Maya's fingers curl around the mug, knuckles whitening as her shoulders sink with the weight of the choice. The light in her eyes dimming like dusk, filtering through the curtains. Maya Ellis rises, hands sliding under the half-packed box of art supplies, lifting it with slow care so bristles kiss her palm. She lets it hover near her chest before lowering it back onto the couch, shoulders straightening as her fingers curl tight around the edge, knuckles pale. Maya, I can't move in, Lena. This quiet is the only place that doesn't need me to be someone else, and I'm finally letting it be enough, Dr. Lena. Then I know I'm going to lose that closeness and the safety net we both lean on. But I can't let you vanish back into the nothing that kept swallowing you. Silence stretched as Maya watched dust motes drift. Dr. Lena breathing soft beside her. Maya Ellis sets the laptop across her thighs, knees drawn together, her fingers hovering above the keys with a tremor that mirrors the tightness in her shoulders. Slowly, the tremor eases, her thumbs brushing the edge of the trackpad. Chest rising as she lets out a breath and tilts her head toward the slanting light. Through her eyes, the cup of paintbrushes catches the light. Bristles splayed and still wet from the last midnight session. A mute testament that saying yes would tie her back to these colors again. I was bracing for this session to prove I'm not spiraling when I'm alone. The consequence is already visible. Your mentor is praising that solo exhibit because your independent growth is answering whether solitude can heal. Maya Ellis's shoulders drop, and she lets out a breath that relaxes her jaw and eases the tension from her neck. Maya Ellis lifts the top journal from the stack and, thumb grazing the edge, flips to the solo routines page. Fingertips trailing down the bullet points before resting her palm flat to steady the page. Maya Ellis, staying apart feels like cutting myself off from everyone who made me feel safe. Dr. Lena Hart. The consequence is that you keep therapy and fill those alone hours with painting and journaling, letting that redefine connection instead of severing it. Maya Ellis's shoulders loosen and her jaw unclenches, the tension melting as she nods. Through Maya's eyes, the cup of paintbrushes on the side table glows in the slanting light, every bristle still damp with experimental hues. Proof that choosing her art keeps those tools waiting in this quiet solo space. I can see it now. I'll say no to cohabitation, take the apartment on my own, keep showing up for therapy, and let myself spend these quiet hours painting and journaling. Then you've answered it for yourself. Solitude isn't a punishment. It's the haven where you rebuild worth and find the happiness that lasts. Maya Ellis's shoulders lower, eyes closing briefly as a soft smile settles. The tension easing from her jaw. Maya's fingers press the laptop lid shut with a soft thud, breath catching in a calmer rhythm as the screen darkens. She lifts the stack of journals, letting them settle on her lap before sliding a single brush from the cup into her palm. Fingertips brushing bristles with practiced reverence. Sitting straighter, she sets the journal open, the brush poised above a blank page, the morning light bathing her in quiet resolve. Sam pads barefoot across the kitchen tiles, fingers trailing along the crusted rim of the mug she never finished. The apartment feels lighter somehow. The stack of unopened messages rests face down on the counter, the once urgent buzzing silenced by the new ringtone setting she'd chosen this morning. Do not disturb until further notice. She lifts the mug and pours the cool dregs into the sink, then reaches for the ceramic bowl of spare keys. One is gold, old, the key to the shared apartment that no longer matters. She sets it beside the bowl. Then with a deliberate squeeze of her jaw, she turns away. On the windowsill, her latest journal lies open, the ending line smeared with her own thumbprint. She closes it, tucks a bookmark between the pages, and carries it to the small shelf where her plant now stands with 2 new shoots. She breathes in, small but steady, then slips the journal back into the shelf, takes the small lamp with the soft amber glow, and sets it gently on the sill. Sam steps onto the balcony, letting the cool night air brush her shoulders. The door clicks shut behind her, the sound of the latch a promise she can hear in her bones. Outside, the city hums, and she leans on the railing, palms warm against the metal, steady in the hush of her own company.